I played Lost Ark when it first launched all the way back in February of 2022, when it was huge and everyone had high expectations of it. In just over 3 months, I amassed over 700 hours in the game from the beginning all the way to the first Legion raid, which was the initial part of the accelerated schedule of the global server. You see, Lost Ark was a game developed by the Korean game studio Smilegate, and after some time after its release, it was brought to the global servers through the publisher Amazon Game Studios. Lost Ark is a top-down MMORPG with a ton of classes to choose from, and the initial hype around this game was incredible. Even after 4 years, I still remember the time I spent enjoying the game, but also it taught me an incredibly important life lesson at the end of my 4 month long journey into this world. This was my first real MMO, and by that I mean with raids and there being a ton of people that you could actively interact with. Since I also played Warframe, but that felt more like an RPG that was online. I quickly got to the end game, and the real game started for Lost Ark. Raids were probably the biggest, most popular, and rewarding attractions, but there was a ton of progression stuff that could be done alongside them. Through the most memor- Though the most memorable ones for me were the raids, whether it's for goods or the bad memories. Let me be clear, the game as a standalone was absolute cinema, and I could not get enough of it. I played as a melee assassin called the Deathblade and would usually go for solo clears on whatever I could find. The real issue began with initial lesser raids that still had a bunch of people but weren't that difficult. Because there were very few support classes at the time, a singular class, the Bard, was very popular and wanted in the parties at the time. At first, everyone could get in most parties and matchmaking solved the rest, but then Legion raids happened. If I remember correctly, either there wasn't any matchmaking or it would take so long that you would have to apply for teams within the MMO's own group finder. Since the first Legion raid was very difficult and there was a shortage of supports, groups were brutal to get into and there was very little room for error. You were expected to do everything perfectly or you would get kicked out, especially for my class, which was a strong but easily replaceable DPS. It was a fight for survival among toxicity of the community that I found myself drowning in. This was also the time where I was supposed to take my university exams, the ones that determine which universities you can apply for, and I was playing this game on the side, but now Lost Ark was becoming more of a stress threat than my own busy and stressful life. Thankfully, I quit before my situation got worse, but I never quite forgot the toxicity I had to endure in the Legion raids looking for grip system. I never got any farther than that. Ever since then, I have been hesitant to touch MMOs as if having learned my lesson. Though it is a shame that I can't play such good games, especially because these Legion raids locked your progress in game, and if you weren't able to do them, you could not access the next area and future content that came with it. And the real reason I quit was since I couldn't find enough groups to get into the to get to the highest possible gear level, I would get left behind, and that was exactly what happened. After I did get left behind, there was no point in me returning to the game. And when I thought that, I realized how severe my fear of missing out was. I had been grinding so hard even in my life's most important period just to stay with the curve, and it's a habit that I still carry with me today. But at least now I don't let it get that far. So when people say do something at your own pace, that is extremely important because a burnt out number one will never finish a race, but a steady one at least survives it.